All right, so we are in the worst real estate market ever, I would say, here in the Fraser Valley. People are getting rinsed. People are losing a lot of money. I'm hearing a lot of stories about people losing a lot of money. And we ended the month with 985 sales in the Fraser Valley. And if we compare this to last year, which was a pretty shit last year, we had 1,300 sales. So we had 30% more sales last year, which was a crap year anyways. So we're 30% below a crap year this year, right? And if we look at the sales in 2023, we had like 40% more sales. And you'd have to go all the way back to 2009 to see a monthly print lower than this one when we had 25% less people living here. So I'm going to call it the worst March ever, even though technically it's not. But if you adjust for, sales per capita, I would say that it is. Now, I'm going to be looking at the median sales prices today because we don't actually have the HPI. And the HPI is a lagging indicator anyways. It's not a good gauge of like what's happening right now, but it's a good gauge of what has happened. So we're going to be looking at median sales prices. And prices actually went up 10 grand across the Fraser Valley. Again, probably seasonal. Sales to actives, 13%. That's on the cusp of a buyer's market and a balanced market. And if we look at detached, you have detached at a 9% sales ratio. That is a pretty strong buyer's market. And sales prices apparently went up about, $22,000 for detached in the Fraser Valley. And if we look at inventory right now, yes, it does look pretty high in comparison to last year. We had 4,200 at the peak. We've got 3,800. However, if you zoom out to all time, the levels of inventory for detached really aren't that high. There's just no buyers. There's just not a lot of buyers right now. But overall inventory, we spent 10 years all the way back here with, way more inventory than we have now. And there was also, a lot more or way less people living in the country at the time. So inventory isn't that bad right now. We just don't have a lot of buyers. But again, this is why I like a detached home. I think you're insulated from downward price action just based on the fact that it's so hard to get that inventory higher in the detached market. Now, townhomes went up about $8,000. Sales to actives, you're at a 19% sales ratio, which is pretty good considering. That's on the cusp of balanced and seller's market. And then looking at apartments, you're down $5,000, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody. And your sales to actives is at 14%. So you are in a balanced market for apartments in the Fraser Valley. Now onto my market of Abbotsford. Detached homes apparently went down like $50,000, $80,000. Now again, did they go down $80,000? Probably not. There's so many variables that go into the number that shows up on this chart. Like, is it more expensive properties selling? Is it cheaper properties selling? Like the amount of data you can collect in a month allows it to be heavily skewed when you look at things like this. But I think it's safe to say the prices did go down. They probably just didn't go down $80,000, but they probably did go down. Sales to actives at 10%. You're in a buyer's market for detached homes in Abbotsford. Townhomes apparently down 50,000. Again, I don't believe that they went down 50,000, but I do believe that they went down. Sales to actives at 19%, again on the cusp of balanced and sellers. And when we look at apartments went down $15,000. Again, that is completely believable to me. I think they could have gone down $15,000. But, I've been scanning the one-bedroom market for a while in Abbotsford, and there's just not a whole lot to buy. Like if you want a newer, nice, move-in ready one-bedroom condo, I've been looking for months, and pretty much nothing decent has come on the market. Sales to actives, 14%. You're in a balanced market, but you're getting pretty close to a buyer's market. Now on to Langley, the best performing market in the Fraser Valley over all of this, statistically and in my opinion. Every buyer I talk to wants to be in Langley, pretty much every single one, whether they are even people that live in Surrey want to move to Langley. People who live in Vancouver that want more affordable housing, move to Langley. People from out of BC moving here from somewhere else typically end up in Langley. So it's no surprise to me that this market has held up really well. And if we look at detached homes, prices apparently up $80,000. Don't know if I fully believe that, but they could have gone up at least a little bit. Sales to actives are at 14%. You're getting pretty close to buyer's market, but actually went up. You went up 2%. So, you were in a balanced market. You were in a buyer's market. Now you're in a balanced market for detached in Langley. Townhomes apparently went down 8%, which is interesting because I want to show you 25% sales ratio for townhomes in Langley. There is nothing in the Fraser Valley that has performed better than a townhome in Langley, than a nice, livable, 3-bedroom, newer townhome in Langley. Those have been good as gold. They've been rock solid. They've been performing like a juggernaut right now. And they're still moving fast even today if they're priced well. But even apartments apparently went up $2,500 in Langley. And I think a lot of this has to do with Willoughby Heights. Willoughby Heights is an amazing area. That's where everybody wants to be. And I mean, yeah, like you really haven't seen much, like prices come down very much in Willoughby Heights, Langley. And sales to actives jumped up 7% in March. You're at 18, which is balanced. Now you're back in a seller's market at 25% for apartments in Langley. Now, Surrey, they like to split up into North Surrey, Surrey, and South Surrey. I'm not going to go through all of them, so I'll just go through City of Surrey combined. And prices pretty much traded exactly flat for a detached home in all of the City of Surrey. Sales to actives, however, absolutely terrible at 7.5%. So there's a lot of inventory. There's not a lot of buyers. It's probably going to take a while to sell your detached home in Surrey. Like, let's take a look at the days on market. Apparently went down, but now it's at 20 days on market for a detached in City of Surrey combined. And again, townhome prices went up $25K apparently on median, with the sales to actives at 17%, putting you in a balanced market for your townhome anywhere in Surrey. Apartments apparently taking a huge dive down, $35,000. I mean, I don't know if they went down that much, but when you look at Surrey Central is a disaster right now. And I'm going to show you guys what's going on in Surrey Central. And it is believable that prices did come down considerably in March for apartments in Surrey just because of Surrey Central. Sales to actives are balanced, or buyers and balanced. You're right on the cusp there. Like you look at an apartment in Whalley, you know, we went down basically $9,000 in March. That's completely believable. I actually think it went down more than that personally. And the reason being is, like, how many listings are on the market right now? So you have almost 700 condos for sale in Whalley right now. And that doesn't account for all of the assignments and all of the shadow inventory that developers are holding in this area. So the amount of inventory you have for sale in this market right now is probably over 2,000. Like, I'm just guessing, but probably pretty close to that. And you look at the amount of sales, 58 condos sold in Surrey Central last month, right? There's 700 on the market. That's not accounting all the assignments and all the shadow inventory. So that's the state of Surrey Central right now. But again, you can buy there now, like a brand new 800 plus square foot 2-bedroom concrete 25th floor for like under 600 grand. That would pre-sale today somewhere in the sevens, like high sevens, possibly over 800 grand, depending on the project. And now you can pick it up for under 600K. So I'm willing to bet that a lot of what's happening in Surrey in regards to prices is probably because of what's happening in Surrey Central. I mean, when you have 2,000 condos for sale in Surrey Central, and then 5 minutes down the road, that same unit is priced 50 grand higher, a lot of people are going to start being like, well, I want to live there, but if I just live 8 minutes down the road, I can buy the same thing for 50 grand cheaper. You're probably going to have some demand getting sucked out of these neighboring areas and then back into Surrey Central, which will, start to push down prices in the neighboring areas. Hey, if you're a realtor and you're thinking about making a change, my team, the TK Group, is hiring. And if you want to chat with me about what that looks like, you can book a time to chat with me in my calendar below. Obviously, we help you with things like what I'm doing here: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, leads, and everything in between. So if you're thinking about making that change, reach out to me. I'd love to hop on a call with you. Now, in some other news, Trump is back at it again, talking about tariffs. He's bringing in the auto tariffs. I think he's talking about more tariffs. He's talking about tariffing everybody. Everybody's going to get a tariff. Every single country is going to get a tariff now, is what he's talking about, with other nations targeting other specific sectors, pharmaceuticals, computer chips. That's amazing for my investment in AMD. Can't wait for that. And he's just out there talking about some more tariffs that are obviously scaring the shit out of people. So, I mean, it's no surprise with everything going on that we're at, having the worst March of all time. I would be surprised if we somehow did better than last year, which was, already a bad year to begin with. But when you have stuff like this constantly happening, it's no surprise that sales are the worst they've ever been per capita. And I was hoping to have some good news for you guys with the bond market. I mean, the bond market's just going crazy. Like, I pulled this up 10 minutes ago and it was like 2.63. And now it's all the way back down to 2.577 again. So maybe I do have some decent news for you guys. But yeah, bond yields have been falling once again here in the short term, which means you could see cheaper fixed rate mortgages in the next little while, which are already pretty cheap. I mean, now I'm hearing of people getting 3.99 uninsured, depending on their financial situation, how much money they're putting down and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, rates back in the threes is a thing again. Now, there's all this talk about stagflation, inflation coming back, and I'm not saying that it isn't, and that's not going to be the case, but I just want to remind everybody that, the states went through this exact same thing in 2008. Every rate cut announcement they had, they talked about inflation. Every single one. They were like, yeah, we're going to cut only this much because we're worried about inflation, but we're not going to cut in the next one because, we're going to worry about it. It's like a cut. It was like a hawkish cut. Every single time was like a hawkish cut because they're worried about inflation. And inflation did come back. It actually went all the way back up to like 5.6% as they were cutting rates before plummeting into deflation. So based on that, I still believe interest rates are going to go lower. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people talking about unemployment now. I know of people that have been laid off. I just had a buddy go apply for a job, for a plumbing job. And in that industry, apparently there's a lot of talks about layoffs going on right now. So I just don't know how we're going to have like a highly inflationary environment with unemployment rising and layoffs happening. But again, I'm not an economist, right? That's just a thought that I had in my head. But what I will say is something's got to give. You can't have a completely frozen real estate market for very long, because think about all of the taxes that get collected on those sales, all the taxes that they collect when developers build homes. And then when those homes are eventually, finished and built, again, people move into them and they pay property tax. And all the people who build the homes pay taxes on their income. And all the people who sell the materials, you pay taxes when you buy the materials. And I think this is why you have the provincial governments and you have both parties in the federal government talking about cutting taxes. And people are mad about this. Like, well, why are we cutting taxes for the millionaires? Why are we cutting taxes for the investors? Well, I mean, you cut taxes there to get more taxes over here, right? That's my frame of thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. That's how I'm seeing it. And that's why I think they're talking about these things. But there's your update, okay? Condos went down, townhomes and detached went up. Townhomes are holding up amazing still, especially if you have a townhome in Willoughby Heights, Langley. And if you want to chat with me about buying or selling anywhere in the Fraser Valley, you can chat with me using the link down in the description. I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.